Well, the worst is my friend Stephanie Shea is playing the other character. And every time he does that, she's like, ah! And I'm like, could you please turn Stephanie Shea's vocals off? Please turn Stephanie Shea's vocals off. Please turn. Because it's so creepy to hear your friend making that noise. I'm like, no. Before we start the scene, can you turn Stephanie off? So that was the only time. And then Sean Teague's voice makes me laugh. So sometimes they have to turn his voice off too, because I'll get the giggles and can't perform. Because in Carnival, if those of y'all that don't know Sean Teague, he has a voice that's actually higher than mine, but it's this sweet little innocent with a hint of a country twang to it. And he plays opposite me in Big Windup anyway. He plays Mihashi and I play Abe. So they did that same dynamic in Carnival. Well, there was some scene where his character gets knocked over and he says, "Oh no." But of course, Shanti just can't just say, "Oh no." And he's like, "Oh no." And it's this really hysterical. And it took an hour for me to do my next line because I couldn't stop laughing. And Chris Bevan's like, "No, seriously, don't." And I was like, "Seriously, please turn his vocals off." And now I can't watch Carnival because I giggle the whole show. I've always said that if you wanted the perfect, sweet companion doll, you take a doll that looks like Jiminy Cricket, give it Sean Teague's voice, and make it say the things that really come out of Tia Ballard's mouth, and you would have the perfect little doll to play with. Because Tia's always saying things like, "It's all about the love you give people." So like, if you take that and put it in Sean, "Well, it's really all about the love." Like, I'm like, oh, I would buy that doll in a second. So yeah. So those are two off that I can think of. Who's got another? Yes.
What's left after 15, how many years and all these characters, what's left that you would want to do that you haven't done yet as like a challenge?
You know, Johnny and I had a really interesting conversation after we worked on Beck, because we were both at a point in our career where we're just like, well, we're kind of done. We've done everything. And we had said that if we could quit, if we were going to end our career, we would have wanted to end it with Beck, because it's such a strong show and it's got such a good message. But the funny thing, I say that, like, I would have never done Dead Man Wonderland had I quit then. I would never have done another. I would never get to be doing Free and get to watch all the wank that's going to happen when that dub comes out. That's just worth the popcorn alone. Like, so it's hard to say what's next. Yeah, like as an actor, I'm like, well, I've had lead roles and everything. I've traveled all over the world. I've done this. But I also don't ever know what's next. Like, there are always cool things that come up. And like, yeah, I would have never stopped working as a DJ had I not done this, but I would have never played all over the world, you know? So like, I'm quick to not like brush off this career, because this career has afforded me a lot of really cool things. Plus, I still love anime myself. So there's still shows that like, there's this really creepy, gross show that I would love to work on called Pupa. And nobody has the rights to it yet. And people have seen it and like, yeah, it's creepy. It's like zombie. I like zombie things. It's cool, but it's super, super creepy too. But like, I don't know. Like maybe some video game stuff, maybe some original animation. I don't know. I like still can't decide what I'm gonna be when I grow up. So this is good for the time being. Like this is a good job to keep me busy until I grow up. So. But I used to have a grown-up job. I think this is a lot of fun. So yeah, I don't know what's next. Tomorrow is the only one that knows what's coming next, I guess. Who's got Carl is a person. Like the booking tomorrow will creep up on me. Yeah.
Is there a series that you grew up watching that you look back on and you're like, oh, I wish I was around, or I wish that this series waited so that I could try to portray a character in it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I didn't grow up watching it. Like, the way I got introduced to anime, I was this little skater kid. I know, hard to believe, again. And we had this one friend that was really into anime. And at the time, I mean, this is how long ago, it was called Japanimation is what everybody called it back then, ages ago. And my friend always had a backpack it was a ratty backpack. We're skaters, of course, it was a ratty backpack. And he always had like some VHS tape of some big robot show. And 9 times out of 10, we were just stuck inside because it was raining or it was too hot to skate. So we just watched whatever thing Nick threw on the TV. And then we were at this movie theater and we saw the trailer for Akira. And that was when it was first coming out. And there was an art house place that we would go to see weird movies like, you know, The Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense, and Dance Crazy, and stuff like that. And we saw this preview, and I was like, that's that stuff Nick watches. And we went to see Akira on a big screen, and it was mind-blowing. It was so cool. So, like, then we got really into anime. I bought a Laserdisc player, and we were importing, you know, before I knew it, we were importing Laserdiscs from Japan and stuff like that, and, like, super nerdy. But the show that I would have loved to have worked on is a show I got into in, like, my second phase of my anime fandom. Like, I've had 3 phases of, like, I was really hardcore as a kid, and I took a break for a while because I'm ADD, and then came back and started watching. And during the second phase, when I was really into, like, Serial Experiments Lane, there's a show called Fushigi Yugi that I loved. And that says a lot more about me than it should, but love that show. And there's a character called Chichiri that I love. And I would have broken someone's arm to play Chichiri. Now the fact is, I'm just now going back and watching it in English, because back then I was Cartman. I was like, I don't ever have in English, stupid English. So like, I've seen all of FY in Japanese. Well, I find out now that I know half of the people that did the dub. So like, my friend Mary Elizabeth is Noriko, so I have to go back and watch the dub of it. So I'm a little scared to hear Chichiri, but I also know the guy that does Chichiri's voice too. So there have been several shows that have been like that. Like I wanted to work on Wolf's Rain.
Yes, yes, yes.
Woo! It's such a cool show, and I like really wanted to audition for Hige. I thought it would be a really
Yes.
great. And
Yes.
the thing was, when they announced that it was going to California, my friend Mary Elizabeth was going to direct, so I was like, oh yeah, Mary's going to get it. And then Johnny got cast as Kiba, so I'm like, oh, well, at least my friends are working on it. So like, that's why I try not to get my hopes up on shows, and that's why it's also good that I don't watch a lot ahead of time, because, and the one now that's killing me is like, well, I shouldn't say it, I'll jinx myself, I won't say it. There's a really kind of cool, violent, crazy show that I'm watching that I really hope I get to work on. But sometimes it works, you know, like, what was the show that I just got to work? Oh, I can't say, that's the one I can't say. There's another show that I just did that I didn't think was going to get a dub, actually. I knew somebody got the rights to it, and then they had waited so long to produce it, I was like, oh, the show is so good, you can't ruin it. And then I was like, well, maybe they're just not going to dub it. Well, then, all of a sudden, I got to go in and audition for it. Oh, it's so hard. I can't say what it is. I can hint at it, but I can't tell you enough to let you know what it is. No, I can't do that. That's easy. I will say that I thought, it's a show with a lot of kids in it, and I thought I was going to play a different role that I ended up playing. I ended up playing a villain, and it's probably the meanest villain I've ever played, but the most lovable villain I've ever played. So it's really fun. So that's coming out. But again, I didn't think I was even going to get to work on that show. So it's one of those things, like, but yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one, it would be Fushigi Yugi, definitely. I would love to have done Chichi. I love that character, period. So, yeah, I saw another hand popping here. Yes?
So this is kind of an off-topic question, go about your DJ work. So
Yeah, sure.
if there's any, like, is there any specific club or, like, place that you would absolutely love to DJ at that you have not been to yet?
Oh, there's 2, actually. One is going to show you exactly how big of a nerd I am. There's a club in Las Vegas that is built for the deaf. It's built for people that are hearing impaired. It relies heavily on bass frequency response and mid-range frequency response, and the speakers are all under the floor. So
Wow.
the people and there's lights, it looks just like a club, but to the staff of the club and to the DJs, all they hear is the movement of the lights, and occasionally the crowd, like, yeah, like screaming, because the whole thing is in the vibration of the floor. And everybody I know that's even been to this club has said it's the coolest thing because you can like have a normal conversation in the DJ booth. So I think that would be super cool, and I love music so much. The idea of like delivering percussion and rhythm to someone that normally does not get to experience that on a day-to-day basis is ridiculous to me. That's so cool. And then the other one's just a notorious club. It's not, in fact, I've been told it's not a club any longer. I'd love to have played at the Limelight before it got turned into, I think it's an IHOP now, but like, it's a pretty notorious nightclub, and I would have loved to have played there. I actually was booked to play a party there when it was called Avalon, and I got all excited, and then it got moved to the Knitting Factory, which I can't whine about playing at the Knitting Factory in New York. Blondie, Lou Reed, the Ramones, everybody played there. So like, of course, I had to get on the stage and be a nerd and like touch the stage, and I'm like, yeah, so, you know, Bob Bergen said something neat. Those of y'all that don't know who he is, he's the voice of Porky Pig. He's a really, really nice guy. He said something neat. He said, this is a working in his field is a field where everything that you do is based on a system of gratitude. And if you can't be grateful for every little opportunity that you get, then you don't really know what it's like to work, and you don't really get to appreciate what you do. So like, I lost out on the chance to play at the Limelight, but I played at the Knitting Factory. And so I try to look at most situations like even when I lose a show, I'm like, well, I lost this one show, but I'm working on this bloody show. And so yeah, it always goes back to bloody shows. Yeah.
Have you ever done voice acting for 3 different animes from Viz, and what are your favorite characters? And what?
No, I've never done anything for Viz. Viz does most of the recording in Canada.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you hear people talk about the Ocean Group, that my friend Brad Swale and Scott McNeil and all those guys work for, the Dobson brothers, that's all done in Vancouver. So Viz Media generally does everything out of the Ocean Group and records in Vancouver. And we can't, and like, somebody goes, well, why don't you go work there? You can't go to another country and work without like special permission, and they're also a union state, so you have to be a member of their Canadian Film Actors Guild, and being not Canadian, I think that would be hard, so like, and I believe in working in my own backyard. I don't believe in going to somebody else's town and taking their work. So the guys that live in Canada are super talented. I love all those guys. The Dobson brothers are the best, so yeah, I'm fine with that. So yeah, who's got I don't even know, are we out of time? What time is it? 15 minutes. Okay, good. Yeah.
What was your favorite line from Born High School?
This is the weirdest thing in the world. So I can't tell you, and here's why. We recorded that show extremely fast. We recorded that show at the speed of light. And when we work on a show, we usually only see the script the day that we're working on it. So like, that is something that goes by our face as a flash in time, and unless it's a line that we sucked at really bad, and we have to do it a million times, which those are the lines you never love. You're like, I don't care how funny that is, I hate that line, because you wasted an hour of your life trying to get it right. I can tell you my favorite moments the twins have. One of them is non-vocal. There's an episode in the Teacup episode, where the first kiss happens. Everybody is dressed up for this formal party, and the twins are in these heinous plaid vests, which are funny enough. And you know, and they're from like one of the richest families, so they could be dressed beautifully, but instead, nope, heinous, you know, like barbershop quartet-looking vests. But then they cut to a shot of like Tomiki or somebody talking, and they're standing on either side of them eating a banana. Like, where do you get a banana at a formal? And it's like. So like, that's what I love about the twins. They're just like real super random. But my favorite episode and my favorite moments as Kaoru were in the twins episode. When you find out that they're not just these two-dimensional characters, that they actually have a really sad backstory. The cool thing about that episode is I make no bones about saying that I didn't enjoy recording it, because it was really hard working with another character that tightly and having to mock and mimic each other. But that episode was such a different exception because a lot of it was just narration. And so it was just me talking over scenes and just narrating things. And it was so nice because not only did you find out these characters were very human, but it was also like easy. I didn't have to match any mouth flaps, and I didn't have Todd impersonating me. So it was really cool. So, yeah, so I don't know any lines. It's like, it reminds me of, before the first one of them died, I think 2 of them are dead now, the last time all the Monty Python guys got together, they took a how well do you know your Python quiz online and failed miserably. So it's one of those things that when you perform something, you know that people that watch it over and over and over know it better than you do, actually. And it's one of those things, like, I could tell you my favorite line of Johnny's, or I could tell you my favorite line that Monica says in Dead Man Wonderland. But like, if you ask me my favorite thing, I'm like, I definitely have favorite lines in other shows. But yeah, Oran was so fast. We recorded it so fast, and the fact that I didn't have fun made it more fun to watch later because it was so everything was so rushed, and we had to do it so at such a speed that when I could actually just sit down and enjoy watching it, it was a lot of fun. Like then there was no work. So it was cool. Yeah.
So when you say like you dubbed it like really, really fast, like how long did it actually take you guys to dub the whole thing?
I say fast, but it was not a fast process. Different studios work different ways. Funimation, we record roughly about 30 lines and 20 reactions an hour. Now, there's a studio I work for where I can record 160 lines an hour. Like, that's fast. But we have a different process for doing it, and it's done differently. It had to be done fast, meaning they wanted a really quick deadline on it, and so like we would have to work in large spurts of time. Lucy and I were the only two driving in to do the show, and we would get booked for like 5 and 6 days at a time, and we would do like 10 to 6 every day, or on. That's all we did, or on. And so there was a push to get it out fast. It wasn't recorded. It's not the fastest I've ever recorded, but it was a push. And there were challenges with that show that we don't have with others, like the thing with Todd and I having to talk in tandem and all that. But it wasn't as fast as other things, but we did record it. It was rushed. Maybe fast is not the right word. Rushed might be better. And it was like an urgency to get it finished. So everybody was real keyed up about it, and everything was, oh, we gotta take this seriously. And it's kind of hard to be funny and silly whenever it's like tense or whatever. So. Yeah, but not fast and not rushed to the point that it was bad. The good thing about having a director like Caitlin Glass is she knew everything there was to know about the show. So if you were ever confused, you're like, now why am I eating a banana? And she goes, well, they're like that. Like I could ask Caitlin anything and get the right answer. So, but it was a different recording atmosphere, definitely. I think we have time for one more, and you got very excited when you raised your hand, so I will say you. Oh no, now you're cheating. Okay, yes, we'll try.
What's the funnest part of your job and what's the most stressful?
Man, I can't answer that honestly without bumming anyone out, so I'll give you a politically correct answer. The most fun is this to me. The most fun is like going to conventions and meeting people because I watch anime and I'm affected by anime the same way other people are. And so like when you're a stage actor and you do a show, at the end of the show you hear this. And then that's it. You never meet any of those people again, you never see any of those people again. You really don't even have a chance to have a conversation with anyone. You just hear an applause. And it's really fake because sometimes people applause even when they hated something. They're like, yay, it's over, it's over. So like applause to me is not a merit of whether something was good or not. But like to work on a show, I mean, I signed a copy of D and Angel. I did that show almost 10 years ago. So to work on something and have it still mean something 10 years later is really cool. And working with anime fans is always a lot of fun. Most people go to a job where they have to like, hand someone food. I go to a job where I get to see people dressed as Princess Peach and Homestuck and everything else. And I'm just like, yeah, like this is the most fun I get to have is like connecting with people and making friends. Now I've got to come up with a second answer for my least favorite part of this job. No, because the internet hates fun to me. I think the internet hates kind of funny. I don't know. I can't think of one that I can say out loud, so yeah. There's one that I can say, but like honestly, I'd rather not bum anybody out. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, I love my job. I've worked with some actors that are pretty arrogant and pretty big-headed, and I try to remind them, I'm like, some people work a job that they would just be happy if someone said thank you. We work a job where we can do something 10 years ago, and like I said, it still means something to somebody. So at the end of the day, this is a pretty gravy job. It's a pretty fun job. I'd rather not bum anyone out with the real answer for the second part. But I really do love my job. I know. No, it's not. There's an interview where I came really close to saying it, and like it really upset the interviewer. So like, yeah. So I'll leave that one there. Just mystery. It's like a cliffhanger. Yeah, y'all are anime fans. Y'all are used to cliffhangers. Come on. End of Akira. Come on. So, I love that somebody screamed. Ah!
I hate that ending.
The what?
It's torture.
I know, but it's a cliff. They don't think of it like that. Think of it as a cliffhanger ending. So anyway, with that said, I know there's something in this room after me. Please come to the Bootleg Bomber tonight. Please come to the dance. I don't think we call it a rave, but it's gonna be a blinky, flashy rave. Oh, rave! Yay! Come to the rave. Also, come to the panel that's right before the Bootleg Bomber, because that's kind of the whole point of the Bootleg Bomber is teaching you guys how to spot bootleg merchandise so you don't get ripped off and so you don't buy something that's weird, awful, unsafe, or unsavory. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Sorry I was a minute late, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.